Okay, so we have discussed on the sizing part yesterday. So as I explained you, there are different methods or procedures available for you to do the sizing, depending on the deployment scenarios. Perform that sizing based on the recommendations and guidelines given by SAP. But ultimately, even if you see if you are using a quick sizer tool, once you have the results of that quick sizer, so the quick sizer will give you that recommendation. So you can start choosing your certified hardware. So when you want to have this list of certified hardware, you can come to this. You can just search for certified and supported HANA hardware. You will get this link directly, or otherwise you can use this link what I mentioned here. So once you come to this, click on this view listing. That entire list will be displayed here. See, we have more than 1300 certified appliance models, and there will be some in the process of getting certified. So that list is even bigger. If I remove that selection of certified, it will be even bigger. But certified appliances, we have 1300 models available. So there are many ways you can apply filters, and you can search. Suppose you identified already memory. So you know that the memory requirement is say 512 GB or 1 TB or 2 TB like that. So you can choose it. You can apply filters here based on the memory. So now we have starting configuration 64. All these 64 small configurations, all these are used for B1, Business One application. You know, SAP is having that small application called B1. So they've introduced B1 on HANA. So for that, this will be useful. So you see that appliance type, SAP Business One. But generally, when you want to have data mart scenario, or you want to run BW on HANA, ERP on HANA, minimum starts with 128. Minimum. So you can see that. BWOH means BW on HANA. This is BW for HANA. Like this. They have 128 supported for Business One. So mainly for BW application, that 128 is useful. So when you go with the bigger configurations, you will be able to use them for something like Business Suite on HANA or S4 HANA. So these 512 GB models. So then you have BW, BW. So with slightly higher configurations. See this S4H. S4H means Suite on HANA. S4H, S4 HANA. So depending on the deployment scenario, we can choose these models, suitable models. So based on the memory, you can apply filters. And one of the model we have maximum with 20 TB. one model is there, 20 TB model. Actually, this 20 TB model, hardly two companies are providing, HP and Silicon Graphics. So here's HP and Silicon Graphics. So that's one thing, and you already working with a specific vendor. Already the customer is used to that vendor. They want to go with the vendor. Vendor-based searching also they can do that. So you have a lot of vendors there. So it's a big list again. So if you clear that memory search, all of them will be enabled. And one more thing, remember, as far as CPUs are concerned, only Intel CPUs are supported. See, in this list of vendors, you don't find IBM. Instead of that, you have Lenovo, because Lenovo is acquired that hardware division of IBM. Separate power series models are there. I'll show you. So it's supporting only Intel CPUs, Intel CPU architecture. So only those Intel CPUs. So you can choose appliance types also, suitable for what? Only for BW scenarios, S4 HANA scenarios. And that too, you see some, these model appliance types when they're giving there, they're giving clearly whether they're suitable for scale up or scale out. So that's also a big factor actually. Initially, when you're procuring the appliance, you need to consider this as a big factor because the cost factors comes into picture. Because at the beginning, usually you want to keep the TCO as low as possible. At the same time, you don't want to compromise on the performances. And in the future, as and when some requirement is there, you should be able to improve that configuration or increase that configuration so easily. So depending on the customer, they can opt for scale up or scale out. Scale up means the existing appliance itself you upgrade. Suppose if this model is supporting scale up, so meaning of that is it can be scaled up to 7.5 TB. That's a max. You can't cross that. So if you want, you can start with a 2 TB machine here and you can keep on increasing that RAM up to that 7.5. Like that. That's called scale up, which is a relatively easy process. It's a simple process actually. Because there's nothing much you need to do at software level. It's just hardware. Just increase the configuration and restart your database. Automatically that memory can be utilized by your database. And it depends on the customer. As I told you, sometimes, suppose there is a requirement of 20 TB. 20 TB, one single appliance is available, or you can buy 10 different appliances with each one of 2 TB. So there the cost calculations will come into picture. And another most important thing is, the high availability. Otherwise, you can call it as auto failover scenarios. So if you want to configure auto failover scenarios, I prefer to go with the scale out options where I can use the 2 TB machines, multiple machines. Even one goes down, I can keep some standby. Otherwise, you go with 20 TB machine, you want to keep a standby for them. Maybe expensive there. That's why they need to choose carefully which are suitable for them. Just like as an individual, how do we think? Like, so you should know your requirements also, future, what kind of requirements you'll have. So that clarity you have, you can decide. whether you want to buy one box and upgrade it later on, otherwise you keep on adding multiple nodes. Because scale up, always there will be a limitation. There is a hardware limitation. You can't cross that limitation. When I say scale up, this particular model is suitable up to 10 TB. It's a max. You can't cross the 10 TB. You want to have 15 TB, you can't go with scale up there in that particular model. Maybe a different model, but that model. Then you need to add one more node, additional host. Same database, multiple hosts. Meaning of that is basically you're distributing your database across multiple hosts. That's called scale out. So those are the factors what you need to generally choose, and certification dates, everything they're given. So use these filter options and choose the right kind of hardware. For every model, there is a documentation available for you. Every model, they'll give you the details about that model, and you can contact your hardware vendors also. They'll give you further more information you need. And then, as I mentioned, that IBM is providing that Power Series system. So if you want this Power Series system, so you can use this. So go to the supported power systems. I think there are somewhere about 8 models. You have these models. So how to plan, install, and run HANA on power systems, you can refer to these notes. With the high configurations. Because there is a separate software for that. If you want to install HANA on power. And then these supported Intel systems, entry level systems basically. Mostly with the normal Intel Xeon E5 series processors. Like when you want to have the entry level systems like demo systems and all that, these systems can be utilized. So this one will be with 8 core processors mostly. This is a big list like one. So those are all entry level systems. And then as far as storage is concerned, they're also giving certified storage systems here, storage solutions. So there are 58 certified storage solutions provided by different companies. Mostly you find that storage area networks, network attached storages, SAN, NAS, the shared file systems. Otherwise, customers even can opt for something like their own data centers they have a lot of storages available. Maybe they can opt for that scenario called TDI, Tailored Data Center Integration. So that is also an option they have. Tailored Data Center Integration, we call it as. Then when some customers can't afford these on appliances and they want to go with, what we call it as cloud environment. They want to have these solutions on cloud. Then you can just go with these certified IaaS platforms. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. So initially it was started only with Amazon Web Services. Later on, many of these vendors got into this. And even they're providing the clustering facility on cloud. Those are also factors. So even though it started with only Amazon Web Services, later on Microsoft has joined. Microsoft Azure, we have Google Cloud, we have IBM Bluemix, Alibaba recently, Huawei Technologies, all this. This is the latest inclusion, Alibaba Cloud Computing. Yes, cloud is going to be a big factor in the future solutions. This list also increased drastically actually now. So earlier we used to have very small configurations, but now they are giving real big configurations, 4 TB, 8 TB, IBM Cloud. All Intel CPUs. So this is your hardware directories list. I'll refer to this one once you identify the hardware requirements properly. As I did mention that for everything SAP is providing one note, go to that note number, you'll find the required information for you as far as sizing is concerned. Because sizing is as an activity which will have a lot of iterations. It's not just done in a single shot. Even showing you that box, how it looks like. This is just an example. This is normal a mid-tower system. So they may use even rack servers also, the IBM model. So this is actually a model which is suitable for scale up. See what they mentioned here. Main memory 256 GB installed, expandable up to 512 GB. So they given this appliance with 256 GB installed, and you have that possibility of expanding up to 512 GB. Dual sockets we have here for processor. Also see here one of our database runs on that actually. Dell series system we are using. Okay, let this database come up. I'll show you that. It's running on Dell systems, where you'll be having similarly this. There will be multiple sockets. Two sockets will be there. Two processors you have like this, and you have this hard swap for your disks and power supplies and all that you can see. It's just examples on what will be the cost. HP machine, and this is an example on for small appliances with 128 GB RAM, Dell machine or 910 platform. We have a similar kind of appliance here actually. So here you can see the Dell certified company. So this two CPU sockets we have. Power at R710 we are using, and that's the model we have there. Here is slightly higher, R910, 710. So Intel Xeon CPUs. Okay, so anyhow, that's just for your visualization and understanding how the appliance looks like somehow. The models anyhow we can find out there, and you can get information from those respective hardware vendors. Okay, so that's one thing. Remember, anyhow, that's just for your understanding. We can't once you have that customer ID and you have your own user account, you can just go and create the project, read the guidelines given, and give the inputs. And there is a calculate option. If you click on calculate, system will calculate and give the results to you. So analyze the results, and based on that, try to procure the appliance, recommend the appliance. Okay, is it clear? Any doubts you have there? Okay, now let us proceed with our the next topic. The next thing we are going to do is doing an installation of HANA database server. So whenever you want to install your HANA database server, once you have that appliance, first they have to decide whether they want to go with SUSE Linux or Red Hat. So either of these two open sources, you just download the compatible versions and install. Say example, if I want to install 2.0 SPS2, the latest version, so I need a minimum of, if I'm using SUSE Linux, minimum 12.2 I need. So you get that operating system and install it, the 12.2 version. Similarly, lower version of database needs lower versions of operating systems, but making sure that it's a 64-bit one. And particularly when you are going with the SUSE Linux, so actually they'll give you SUSE Linux two different versions. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. They'll give you normal SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. And apart from that, we have SUSE for SAP. Both options are available. There's a confusion in the people which one I have to choose, which SUSE is better for me. So whether I should go with normal SLES or should I go with SLES for SAP? They also have that SLES for SAP here. See this? The power series systems they are giving separately. And normal they say 64-bit, this is enough. So the confusion comes is which SUSE I need to go with, whether that is normal SLES or for SAP applications. Additional RPMs will be there in that one for SAP applications. But suppose if your requirement is you bought an appliance and on that appliance you want to install only database server, which generally most of the customers prefer to do it. Only database server. Meaning of that is they don't want to install any application on that. They want to use that box only for database server. Because exclusive appliance, expensive one. It's unnecessary to waste those resources by running an application there. It's better to run only database, but in the new versions, SAP is giving that flexibility for you. It was not there earlier. Earlier, they used to restrict that. You can't install application on that machine where your HANA database is running. That's an older case. But then later on, SAP started supporting that. They're allowing the customers to install applications also on the machine, on the host where database is running. So now question comes is whether you want to install the application on the same host where your database is running or not. If you say no, you can go with the normal SUSE Linux, SLES, that's 64-bit one. In case if you are planning to install application also there, better go with SLES for SAP applications. So when you are not pretty sure, better you install SLES for SAP applications, because maybe in the future you want to install applications. Not that you cannot do it. Even if you install normal SUSE Linux also you'll be able to do it, but some additional RPMs and all that need to be installed separately. So which you don't want to do it, the simple option is that, going for SLES for SAP. So that's the first software, operating system software you need. Get it from here and install it. And then you need the software. So I'll show you where you can get the software. If you go to your SWDC downloads, you can find the required software. So simply go to SWDC, go to that, SAP HANA. In that, go to Platform Edition, download those 4 DVDs and 1 DVD for Cockpit. Extract and keep it ready. So 2.0 SPS2 comes the bigger one, 14.2 GB. All the folders, including all the folders. There's nothing like you can separately download database server and all. That includes your database server, studio, this one client, smart data access, lifecycle management, AFL, everything is there in that. Different versions, these are all different versions. Anyhow, I will give you 1.0 as well as 2.0 both for your practicing. So you can install 1.0 first of all, then you can also practice upgrading to 2.0. All that you could be able to do it. And then depends in case if they want to install application, maybe on the same host or maybe a different host they want to install applications, they can do it. It's up to the customers to decide. Okay.